Hi guys, welcome to another video. In this one I'll be playing around with the Kuretake Gansai Tambi and those other Japanese watercolors from Temu that I showed you in the previous videos. I'll be comparing them more in depth, and in the end I'll make some very beautiful mixed media paintings out of them. So I hope you stick along. This is a pretty interesting video. I love doing it and I hope you enjoy it too. Let's start by showing you my first impressions on the Kuretake Gansai Tambi Graphite set. I'm gonna test my Gansai Tambi. Oh, so pigmented, lovely. Yes, beautiful. Oh, it's very, very pigmented. Look at this. I have to add a lot of water to get it to be lighter. Look at this, so dark. Lovely. They activate really quickly. Another very lush color. Yes. Gorgeous. It just releases the pigment. I feel like my brush is like a sponge. When I push it on the paper, it just flush releases the pigment. And I have to be really careful if I want to make it lighter. I cannot push it too hard so the pigment doesn't just flow in there and floods everywhere. They're very rich pigments. Another one, really dark gray. Beautiful colors. I'm in love, especially this green. Let me see. Yes, I have the names of the color in here and also on the pens. So this is the graphite red, this is the graphite yellow, graphite green, graphite blue, graphite violet, and graphite brown. All lovely colors. They granulate a lot and I love that. My favorite of them by now being this green. It's amazing. I love them all though. Okay, now I just want to see if I can reactivate these babies. Yes, they totally reactivate. Oh, this is a beautiful color. And this also. I love this. These two might be my favorites. Okay, and again, I'll let it dry. I can see a sheen all around the spot where the water was. I guess you can see it a little bit also. And that's about it. Didn't dissolve the pigment too much in the spot where the water was. On this crazy hot pink, I think I'll go with the Kuretaki to see how it grabs onto it. Yes, it is slippery also. I'm not sure if I like this effect. Okay, so what did I think about this? I was not sure if I was liking it, remember? But I loved it. See all this texture? I love it. And because this pink is acrylic, and it's not as sticky as if it was watercolor paper. As I scrub the Gansai Tambi on top of it, I can lift some bits more than others, and I can see the pink peeking through, and I love it. Oh, and just one more thing about these effects the watercolor gets by drying these slow, which are these lovely effects that you get going on in these little puddles of paint. Oh, it's just awesome. I know that these will not dry this bright because these are the graphite set from Gansai Tambi, and it dries a lot duller, you know, like these colors here. But I'm hoping that I can see, I can still see this kind of swirling that the paint is doing right there after it dries. I don't know, but in here you can see all sorts of funny textures going on. In here, a lot of it's still not dried yet. The one thing that I don't like about these Japanese watercolors is that they got a shine to it after dried. As you can see in this piece that is already dried, and you can see this shimmer here where the puddles of paint stayed longer to dry. So where the paint stayed thicker, you can see a shimmer to it. Well, it adds on to the texture, but I don't quite like it. Back on my messy desk to make just a little detour to show you what happened to one of the base layers because of the Kuretake Gansai Tambi paints. Remember this pink one? Well, the pink, it's okay. It didn't give me any trouble. The trouble is because of the Kuretake paints. What happened here, I left it kind of thick in some points, and that, even after it dried, made it stick to the other page at the point that I cannot unstick it unless I ruin all this and I rip it really bad. And I don't want to do that. I tried on this other side and the result is exactly the same. I'm gonna glue this back together and I'm gonna pretend that never happened and that that page is not here. Once more, I add that issue with the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors. Trying to unglue these bits, it peeled off. It's stuck together. I'll just have that in mind for the future works, that if I leave these watercolors very thick, they leave this kind of glossy coat on top of it and it sticks to the other page. And now, as you might recall from one of my previous videos, and all the videos I'm telling you about will be linked in the description if you want to watch them again. So if you're curious, just go there and see what I put there for you. But this bit of this video I showed you before. It's my first impressions again, but this time on the Temu watercolors. They're exactly the same size as the Kuretake ones. They fit perfectly in this wooden box that came with them. I'm gonna swatch it for you. I'm gonna start with this light blue. They re-wet really easily, just like the watercolors from Kuretake Gansai Tambi. Can you see it? Yes, I think you can. It's a very light blue. It's a lovely color. It's quite opaque. Well, I forgot to put here the black line for you to see. They behave basically like the Gansai Tambi. I'll put here the line, the black line. Now I'll let it dry, and then when it's fully dried, I'll test the watercolors on top of it. So this is the first color, the light blue. Then we have a medium blue. Again, you can see how fast they re-wet. How fast they activate. It's a bit darker than that one. It's also a lovely color. They're quite pigmented. I'm really happy with them. I'd say they're really similar to the Kuretake Gansai Tambi. This is like a petroleum blue. Now we go for this light purple. Also a lovely color. I'm not a very purpley girl, but this purple is nice. I like it. It's almost a lilac. Then we have this color, which is a dark brown. You can see how rich the colors are. They are very pigmented. And I'm not diluting the colors too much. I could though. Let's see this blue. I'm reactivating it and spreading it. You see? It keeps on going. This brown also. It's very dark and pigmented. Of course, you can do that better with dark colors. You get more values out of them. Now I'm going for this dark green. It's kind of a forest green. It's very, very beautiful. I love this color. Look at this. And it turns almost into a yellow. It's very, very beautiful. I love it. Let's see more of it in its basic form. It's pure form. The pure color. And now for another light one. This seems like a light brown. I thought at first it would be a light pink. And I don't remember right now how it shows in the paper. So let's test it. Well, it's a brown, a pinkish brown. It's beautiful. Little bit to the gray also. It's a nice flesh tone. This is another green, I'd say. Look at this, very beautiful. Now there's this yellow. It's almost an ochre, more towards the yellow, a Naples yellow or something like that. It's beautiful. We have this orange that I don't use too much, but it's always useful. You can get some beautiful mixes with it, and sometimes you need a real orange. It's a nice mid-tone orange, very strong and pigmented. Now we have this red. It's almost like a scarlet or something, I think, more towards the pink. I don't know. It's beautiful though. And now this one, it's another brown. That brown looks like a burnt umber, and this is just, yeah, a dark brown, kind of reddish one. It's beautiful. Look at this. Now let's compare the swatches that come with the package. And, well, they really don't compare too much. This is the first blue, then the second one, and then the third one. They don't look the same. This is that pink. It's really a purple. This, it's more or less the same, but it's not quite. This green is totally different. They're both gorgeous, but there's no comparison in there. This looks like a white, really, and it's really that light brown. And then this green is supposed to be that green. Well, maybe a little bit. This yellow is supposed to be that one. Not really. This orange, it's much darker also. The red, this is a scarlet. This is more like a crimson. And this brown looks like a Chinese red, but that's not really it. That's more like a dark brown. So I'd say the swatches don't show the real colors, although the real colors are beautiful, and in my opinion they look much better than the swatches. So let's hope this is already dried, and we'll test these babies for opacity. Yes, look at this. Look at this. Beautiful. So like the Kuretake, they behave more like wash in this test. Yes, again, look at this. Beautiful. I'm amazed with this. Even the lighter colors. Can you look at this? Even the lighter colors are quite opaque. Look at this. Perfect. Well, if you're looking for some watercolors and all its transparency qualities, because it is beautiful, you know, to paint and let the water do its work. Well, these are not the paints for you, although you can thin them down, but they will be always milky. But I think that also happens with the Kuretake Gansai Tambi. Japanese watercolors, as they call it, are not quite as Western watercolors. So if you're expecting to get the same effects as you get with watercolors, that's not it. That's not it at all. Now, if you know what you're getting into and you wish this richness in pigment and opacity, well, these are your babies. These got you covered. Perfect. As you can see, some of the colors are more opaque than others, especially the lighter ones are not as opaque as the darker ones. That's totally normal. But I know for a fact that if I gave it a second coat, I will get that opacity that I really want. Now I'm gonna make some mixes here and test how they mix. I already did a bit of that where I painted the text for the Christmas gifts, but not as intentional as I'm about to right now. So I'm making a green out of this blue and this yellow, and they completely dissolve into one another and they mix perfectly, and that's a beautiful green. Now I'm making a purple out of let's see, this blue again, and the red, too much red, but you can see they really blend together. I'll add a little bit more blue, yes, and I can tint it more to the purple side. In fact, I really got close to this purple. What can I do more? I'll try and see what I can get with this light color, this light brown, and a bit of red, just a tiny little bit, because as you saw, that is strong. Yeah, that's a pretty rose color. Yes, that's very pretty. And if I add some of this white, I love this white in the mixtures because it turns very opaque and lightens the colors so nicely. They become these pastel colors. Really beautiful. I really like this effect. Look at this. They make this white is fantastic, really. Look at this. Yes. Now I'm interested in seeing what this looks like mixed with white, because this is such a rich color and it turns a little bit too red. So maybe I can get a pink with the white. And it is. It's a very beautiful pinkish brown. It's a very beautiful color. Well, I could stay all night in here testing my colors because I love swatching and seeing what other mixtures I can get with them. But I'm not gonna bother you with that. Well, if you'd like to see that, just leave me a comment and I'll make a video swatching and making new colors and that kind of good stuff that I love. Now I'm going for, this is not fully dried yet, but I'm going for a second coat of these babies to see if I can get them to be more opaque. Oh yes, I can. Totally opaque. This one now. Yeah. Totally opaque on this one. This one already is totally opaque, so I'm not gonna bother with that one. This is a bit transparent. It dried a little bit transparent because it didn't seem so when I put it in its wet form. Yeah, but it's much more opaque now. I think this is drying also and turning a little bit more transparent, but it's just slightly. This, it's quite opaque, but I can still see the black underneath. Now I don't. Oh, Yes, opaque. But what amazes me the most here are the light colors. They are so pigmented, like this one, for instance, and the light blue. Very pigmented. They can be quite opaque. I'd compare that to a good gouache. Another thing about this is that I don't believe you can buy this one color at a time. You can just buy these sets, these pre-made, pre-arranged sets of 12 colors. I don't know, I didn't look for, but as I search for Gansai Tambi like watercolors, I just saw these 12 sets. So I'm guessing that's what they have to sell, which is a shame, because imagine if they had all the beautiful colors individually, you know, the ones that Kuretake Gansai Tambi has. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Yes, this one was a little bit harder to achieve opacity, full opacity, but I did it. Just a little bit harder than the other ones. Let's see the red, because the red just dried completely transparent. Well, like any other, you know, art materials, it really depends on the pigments that are in there. And no matter what brand it is, what price you pay for, there are some pigments that are just harder to make opaque. So when just one or two of the colors are not opaque, I don't really blame the maker. Maybe that's not their fault. Maybe it's just how the pigment works. And well, material is always right. So it does what it does, and we just have to work with it. These are the swatches from these babies. I don't know how to call them. That's why I keep calling them babies. These are the, well, Japanese type watercolors from Temu. And these are the swatches that I made where I gave 2 coats of paint to see if they stood completely opaque. Well, in some of them we can see a little bit of the black underneath, but that's really not important because they're so opaque. I mean, they're even comparable to these gouaches. I just gave it 1 coat of paint, but these are supposed to be opaque, and these are watercolors, right? So they're amazing. And now I wanted to show you if where there were puddles of paint, they dried shiny and they stick to the other page or not. But I think it would be better if I test them on the other sketchbook, the one that I did myself, and I showed you the Kuretake Gansai Tambi sticking the pages together. So that would be a fair test between these guys and the Kuretaki ones. So I'm gonna get them and I'm gonna do that test and I'll show you all about it. Okay, here I have my setup for the experiment that I'm about to do, which is testing the Teimo Japanese watercolors and the Kuretake Gansai Tambi on this base Amsterdam acrylic paint, which is, I think, the fluorescent pink. And this is exactly the same base paint that I had in that other homemade sketchbook that I showed you on my video testing my homemade sketchbooks, and where the Gansai Tambi glued my pages together. So I'm gonna test it on here, and here's how I'm gonna do. I divided my pages in 4 spaces. In this top corner, I'm gonna paint with the Teimo Japanese watercolors, and the bottom one with the Kuretake Gansai Tambi. And I will repeat it on the next square, but then on the other page, I'll invert it. So the top square will be Kuretake, and the bottom one Teimo, and then back to Teimo on top and Kuretake on the bottom. And why am I doing so? It's because when I close my sketchbook like this part of Teimo will be in contact with that part of Teimo, and then this part of Teimo will be in contact with the Kuretake, and all the way around down here. The Kuretake will be in contact with the Kuretake, and then the Kuretake will be in contact with Teimo. I'll close it. I'll let it dry first, of course. Then I'll close it, and I'll leave it for 1 night or so. and then in the morning I'll see how it ends up. If it sticks together, if not, where did it stick, where did it didn't, and I'll take my conclusions then. So now let's go painting. I'll leave the paint fairly thick so I can make these experiments. And reminding you, if you want to see how I made these sketchbooks, please watch some other video, which is Make Your Own Sketchbooks, I think. I will link that also on the description. In fact, every time I mention a video of mine, that will be probably linked in the description for you to see if you want to. A few puddles of paint. To see if they dry with the gloss finish to it. Finished the Temu parts. Now I'm going for the Kuretaki. If you're wondering what I'm doing there, I don't know even if you can see it. It's just a sketchbook. It's not a watercolor sketchbook. It's a really thin paper. And I'm just cleaning my brush, because I would like to draw on top of it later. As you can see, there are a lot of puddles in my painting. There's abundant paint everywhere. It has these lovely effects on the Kuretaki and also on the Teimo. I use fairly different colors because the ones I have from Kuretaki are the Gansai Tambi Graphite colors. There are very moody colors and dark colors. And the palette that I have from Temu, it's quite light. So they're very different colors. But I tried to use them in the same way, with much water, quite wet. I made puddles of paint everywhere. And now I'm letting it dry. I know for a fact, well, at least in the other experiments I made with this Gansai Tambi, that these lovely swirls of paint won't dry like this. I'll probably won't be able to see these lovely nuances of color when it dries. Let's see how this looks after drying. This one is very interesting as well. Well, right now I'm thinking about making little landscapes with these squares afterwards, after this experiment. Because this right now, as I told you, is just to see how they dry, if they dry shiny or matte, and to see if they stick together afterwards. It is now the next day, so my paint stayed drying since yesterday morning. Now it's the afternoon, so it has been more than 24 hours. And as you can see, they are dry, but The Kuretake Gansai Tambi are very shiny and sticky. They don't smudge my finger, but they are sticky. So if I close this, I know they will stick together, completely sticky. As for the Temu ones, they're not sticky. They don't smudge. Well, they completely dried. I know that it's winter, it's pretty cold and humid here. And this is not watercolor paper, so it doesn't absorb. And even I painted on the background with acrylic paint, a very light layer, a very thin layer of acrylic paint, but nevertheless it is acrylic paint. So I kind of covered my paper, and I think that was the reason that it took so long to dry. But nevertheless, you can see the difference between the two materials, you know, the Temu ones and the Gansai Tambi ones. And there's another difference between these two different watercolors is that this one from Kuretake Gansai Tambi are graphite and these are normal watercolors. I don't know if that makes any difference in this case. I never tried the Kuretaki normal watercolors, let's call it like that. So I don't know if they are different from these because these ones are the graphite colors. So if you know more than me in this subject, please let me know in the comments. But as for now, the Teimo ones behave perfectly in this base ground on this sketchbook. As for the Kuretaki ones, are very glossy and shiny where I left the puddles of paint, and they behave more like acrylics, you know, those kind of glossy acrylics. So that's strange behavior for me and I don't like it. Okay, so this is the final test, the test of truth. I'm gonna open this sketchbook and see if there's any stickiness to any of these two watercolors, okay? This is the Teimo one, that's the Gansai Tambi one. Where are they? Oh, here they are. I put paper in between them so they won't stick together. I was expecting that the Gansai Kuretaki would stick because they're still sticky and they're completely dry. They're completely sticky, while these ones are not. So I put this paper in between. It sticked a little bit in here, and in here it's a little bit more sticky even. It left some residue here. It's completely sticky. I don't know what to do with these guys. I think I better cover it up with some other type of paint. Oh, sorry, it wasn't centered. Oh, you can even see the shine in these parts that are sticky. And now I'm about to finish these 8 pieces of work. They're beautiful grounds nonetheless. I love them both. Right now, I'm loving more these lighter colors. And I can still see the swirls of the paint, which is really lovely. In here also. How lovely is this? But in the Kuretaki, not so much. They really dull up when they dry. And well, there's a little bit of interest in here. And in here, I guess I can see a little bit of that kind of swirling that the paint made while wet, but not so much. But I'll work through it and let's see what I can do with it. But I bet I can make a lot of beautiful things with these dark and moody colors of the graphite set. Well, after all, that's why I bought them for. I love these moody colors. I was hoping they would dry a little bit more vibrant, although dark, not as dull. I'll try to make my best out of them and make some night scenes in these 4 ones and day scenes in these ones. So now it's the real fun part of the video. I hope you enjoy it. So for this one, I used the Neocolor tools and I had some difficulty in layering on top of this base where I used acrylic paint and Kuretake Gansai Tambi. I wasn't expecting the Neocolor tools to behave like this, but maybe it was because the weather was really cold and the crayons weren't as soft as it used to. One more time with the orange from the Neocolors, you can barely notice it. For the white details, I had to use my Gesso oil pastel. I've showed it to you in other videos. It's quite soft and I love it. And they give me no hard time in here also. For the second dark background, I used once again the Neocolor tools, but in a looser way. And I used black, which is a darker color than the background, and I noticed it was working better. Basically, what I was doing here was increasing the contrast of the shapes that I got already in the background, because all by itself, they already made me think of a forest as the night was falling down. And I covered the parts that were very sticky. This way, I got rid of the stickiness. The lighter colors of the crayons just seem to lift off or maybe mix the layers underneath. Once again, it wasn't easy to make the highlights here, but I didn't want to use the oil pastel on this one because it would be too bright. As you saw in the other one, it is a really strong white and it gets very noticeable. And I wanted a softer look to it here. On this next one, after a minor technical accident, I decided to use the Derwent drawing pencils. Once again, I embraced the shapes that were already in the background and I created a semi-abstract landscape. Meanwhile, I had another idea, and the idea was to use water-soluble materials to mix with the watercolors of the base layer. Then I used the graph tints, the Neocolor tools and the Derwent ink tints also to create this body of water. But in the end, I didn't use much water. I used the Neocolors to blend the several colors in there, and they did a very nice job. Now I'm going for another dark background. For this one, and because I didn't like the layering experience with the previous dark one, I decided to lift a little bit of the Kuretaki watercolors to then create my drawing in there. Here I'm just watering the base layer to then lift it a little bit with a paper napkin. What you see appearing underneath is the pink acrylic paint and the images of the magazine itself, because this sketchbook was once just a magazine. And this is what it's looking like right now. It's still unfinished. Here I'm going in with the Derwent drawing pencils. And I had to lift a little bit more of the base layer because the pencils don't show on top of the thick watercolor base. I went back and forth with this process to get the shape of my owl. Here you can see me trying to go with the pencil over the thick Kuretake Gansai Tambi base layer, and basically what it made was just scratch the sticky watercolor and didn't show up at all. So I just kept on scratching until that sticky material came off. Of course I had to clean the lead of my pencil often, and this is how I got rid of the stickiness in here. But frankly, I was expecting much more from the Derwent drawing pencils. I wasn't very happy with their ability to layer. I struggled a lot, as you can see, and I was hating all this glare. I tried the Inktense pencils also, but still couldn't achieve the interest I wanted in this piece. In the end, I wanted to add some snow to the scene, but the only way I could do it was once again with the white GSO oil pastel, because neither the Derwent drawing or the Neocolor tools worked. And in the end, I lift a little bit more of the base layer to get more texture. And I'm quite happy with the end result. Then for the next piece, I used the Derwent Graphite again. One more time, I had to play around with mixing water-soluble pigments in there, mix them with the watercolors in the background. And that's what I did here in the sky, as you can see. I went also with the Inktense pencils for a little bit of stronger pigment, but these watercolors are so strong that it didn't make much difference, just darkened a little bit the sky. Then I used the Neocolors too. This is the light cobalt blue hue. It was just scratching the wet undercolor underneath, and I wasn't liking that texture. I wanted a more smooth look in the sky. Then I used the Derwent drawing on the land part of this landscape, just to get different shades of color in there. Then the salmon pink from the Neocolor tools, the gold, the orange, the moss green. I was loving how these all look together. A lot of interest, a lot of color and texture in this ground. Then I wanted to warm it up a little bit more even. I went for the scarlet, and then I tried this purple that I don't like too much, and I was kind of afraid to put it in, but loved the punch that it gave to it, the life that it brought to it. So I decided to make a pink tree. Yay, Elise, if you're watching this. I also love pink trees. And I watered the trunk of my tree, which made this pigment mixed with the ones underneath and created this brownish color that I loved. So what you see me here is dabbing that color and bringing it up to the branches of the tree also to make it all more cohesive and to make the branches stand out against the light sky. And it also gave me a beautiful texture in there that I don't know if you can see here in the finished piece. I love this one. Okay, I just finished these two pieces that I was missing. And I think I haven't shown you the first ones I did also. At least this one. And now it's time to show them all. Okay, a little bit more detailed. This was the first one that I made. I struggled a lot to find my materials, to see what materials I wanted to use on top of this base layer. And I did this little landscape. Then this owl in the moonlight. Again, I struggled even more with this one because it was the first dark background that I made. And Kuretake Gansai Tambi are really strong and they were sticky also, so I had to get rid of that stickiness. I had to find out how to do that. This strong white, of course, is the oil pastel from Gesso, but I quite enjoyed this one. I think I really got some richness here in the darker colors, and that was really a struggle, but in the end, I'm happy with it. Then this one, simpler and more efficient, I think. Then I did this one where I introduced other colors. Oh, I'm sorry. It lacks focus. Oh, I'm having trouble focusing on this. Yeah, there we go. I introduced other colors on top of the previous ones that I had in the base layer, these blues, and they came up very vibrant and rich. I love it. Then I think it was this owl in the snow. Yeah, I told you all about this one. Then this pink tree. I was still trying the best techniques to use in these base layers, and I was enjoying the mixability of all that, so I really embraced adding water and water-soluble materials on top of the Temu Japanese watercolors and loved this result. Let me see if I can show you the textures properly. Look at these branches, aren't they juicy and yummy? I love it. Yeah, and then I made this. This is another landscape. Again, the same techniques, the same materials I used previously. And here also I left some of the background. This was a Kuretaki dark background. I left some of it here, but then I covered pretty much all of it. I went on top of it with the Neocolor 2s and once more the oil pastel to get a little bit more lightness to it. In here I used the reference photo from FreePic. I didn't try to copy it, but I was trying to achieve this idea of the trees against the night sky, with the sky being lighter than the trees. I don't think I quite achieved it. I went quite fast on this one. I was lacking patience with it. I didn't like working on top of the dark Kuretaki. Give me some ideas, guys. If you have this set from Kuretake Gansai Tambi, this graphite set, please let me know in the comments what do you do with them. If you have pictures of it, please show me, send it to me, or if you have a YouTube video on it, please link it on the comments. Let's share some ideas, okay? Because I'm not liking these guys. I love the colors, but I don't like how they dry, and I really hate the stickiness to it if I use them thick. Although I still love them, it's mixed feelings. I don't know how to describe it really. Yeah, well, but that's it. That's what I got for this experience. This is what I got to show you. And now it's time to say bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope it was useful for you to see the comparison of these two beautiful materials. I love them both. Although, as you saw, I had some issues with one of them. But hey, it has its purpose. It has its moody colors and lovely granulations to it. Oh, and I wanted to ask you something. If you have already tried the Gansai Tambi, not graphite colors, please let me know if they behave the same. If when you lay them pretty thickly, if they dry glossy, and if they stick to the other page, if there is something similar, in the other page, like for instance an acrylic paint, or again the Gansai Tambi laid thickly, please let me know, because I haven't bought yet any color from Kuretake Gansai Tambi apart from this graphite set, and by the feeling that I had with these ones, I'm not willing to really right now. So if you will be willing to share with me your input about the other sets of Kuretake Gansai Tambi, please let me know. They have such lovely colors. I would be thrilled to try them. But right now, I think I prefer the Temu ones, and they're a lot cheaper. So if you have some input that might change my mind, please let me know in the comments. And that's it for this one. I hope you liked it, so please click the like button. Thanks for watching. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And click the bell, subscribe to my channel, and that will help me a lot. Thank you, and until my next one, bye-bye.